Kabria. I am a ServiceNow business process consultant, and today my session is going to be a quick 15-minute session on how you can break into ServiceNow and pretty much telling you all the things that I wish I knew that no one told me about when I was making my transition. And then I'm also going to tell you guys a little bit about my background, just so that you guys know I did not come from like a traditional tech background. So we're going to get into all the things, and then at the end, I'll leave it open forum if you guys have any questions. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so quick introduction. Oh, sorry. Slide kept going without me. There we go. Okay. So a quick introduction. As I stated, my name is Kabria. As I mentioned, I did not come from a technical background. I've came pretty much from multiple different industries. So to put it in perspective, I've been a daycare teacher for 7, 8 years, and then I was an elementary school nurse. And then I was a program coordinator for Booz Allen and an executive assistant for DHS before I started my junior business analyst role at a ServiceNow Elite partner company. So I literally had no idea what ServiceNow was until I was working as a program coordinator at Booz Allen, and they were saying, okay, guys, you guys will need to start resolving tickets pertaining to the programs that you all coordinate. And from there, I said, okay, this is a new responsibility. I'll take it. And we were using ServiceNow for the ticketing system. From there, that's when I kind of, it sparked my interest and I kind of wanted to learn a little bit more about it. So I started doing my research and I came across a post on LinkedIn where they were accepting applications for the Rise Up with ServiceNow program. So I just applied because I was like, what's the worst they can say is no? And I ended up getting accepted and I was super excited. So from there, I learned all about the ServiceNow fundamentals, implementation in ITSM specifically, and I obtained my ITSM and CSA certifications throughout the program. And then about a month before the program ended, I started applying to jobs with the resume that they provided, and I ended up becoming a junior business analyst at a company called New Rocket. And that is also where I kind of learned that there were more roles out there. I had no idea that a business analyst role existed until LinkedIn has suggested it based off of my profile and resume that I had at the time. So I was, just applying to like ServiceNow admin roles because I thought that was all I could really do at the time without being super duper technical. I know that was in 2022. So 2026, I know admins probably, it's a little bit different. You probably do need to be a little technical, but I wanted to stay on the functional side. So I figured that the BA role was absolutely perfect for me. And then fast forward, I am a business process consultant for another partner company currently right now called Intact. And I'm sorry if you guys hear some noise in the background. I'm actually at a ServiceNow event now, but so here's some hidden truths that I wish somebody would have told me before I had transitioned into ServiceNow. So for one, I do want you to know, like, you don't necessarily need to be a developer or an admin to break into ServiceNow. And in fact, there's like pretty much the biggest gap in the market right now is people who understand business process. And then for truth number two, it's the ServiceNow community is incredibly tight knit. So you can engage on community forums, LinkedIn groups, posts, local user groups, even, knowledge events and events like this, honestly, too. And people like to hire who they know. And then truth number three would be um, search search alone won't get you the job. When I was going through the program, I was like, okay, I should be able to get a job easily. I have my ITSM and my CSA. Why it shouldn't take long, right? But in fact, you cannot rely on certifications alone. Hands-on experience, getting into your PDI, if you aren't able to join a program like Rise Up or bootcamp like Rise Up, getting into your PDI and doing the labs on your own, going through on demand training, building a portfolio, and actually building that experience is what really, really helps as well on top of certifications because people like to know that you can actually do it, what you're speaking to, and then also, just do what it is that your certification says. For example, if you have ITSM, they want to know, okay, how do you, build a service catalog item or things of that nature. Okay. And my apologies if my computer is moving a tad bit slow. All right. And now here's where we get into the roles. So here are some roles that I wish people had told me about or maybe did my research a little bit more, that I didn't know at the time when I was making my transition they had existed. So a business process consultant, of course, that is what I do. So you tend to map out how an organization works and then you translate it into platform capabilities. It's a lot of external client facing and it depends on what your company every company utilizes their BPCs differently. So for me, mine is definitely an external role. So I deal with a lot of commercial and government clients and it's very client facing. But that's not to say that another company down the street would use their BPCs the same way. But usually that's a big gist of the role. And there's a huge demand for it as well. And then you also have a platform slash product owner. So that's where you drive the service now roadmap internally. It's very strategic and it's a high visibility role. I didn't know that business process consultants and product owners, they have very like similar responsibilities. Some would even say that I do a lot of uh, product owner responsibilities in my current role, even Scrum Master to a certain extent. But I personally, I love it because I get all of that experience while still staying under the BPC umbrella, if that makes sense. And then you have an implementation specialist, which is simply just like configuring a particular modules within ServiceNow, like ITSM or HRSD and CSM. So it's not because it's configuration, there is not necessarily coding. So it's very like, I won't even say low code. There would be no coding required for that particular role. And then lastly, this one I feel like is a very slept on. It's very unknown. A GRC slash SecOps analyst. So if you're really heavy in like the cybersecurity space, but you want to make that transition into ServiceNow, this would be the role that you would go for. So there's governance, risk compliance, and with the regulations growing, this role is, there's growth, a huge growth area in this role. And then that's, of course, there's other roles like project management, project program management. There's scrum master roles. Like my company right now, we have business process consultants and scrum masters and project managers. So we don't have product owners, but there are some that, other companies that do have product owners. We also have what's another role that you could do, like a delivery manager, a change readiness manager, change readiness consultant, technical writing as well. I have done a little bit of that myself. There's quality assurance testers. It's a lot of roles out there. And I wish somebody would have told me that when I had started. So that's why I'm telling you guys, in case you don't know by now. All right. So with that, you're probably like, okay, you're telling me all of this, but could you maybe lay out the land for me? What's like a quick, like, I don't want to say quick because your journey at service now is not necessarily quick, but what's a playbook that I could do? What's a plan? So here's a very simple 90-day playbook that you can use. So for month one, you'll want to focus on learning. So you can sign up for a free personal developer instance at developer.servicenow.com. If if you can't join the Rise Up program. I highly, highly recommend, if you can, to apply to the Rise Up ServiceNow program and go through there. But because they receive so many applications, some people are put on hold. It's a very big deal. So if you can't do that, then I highly recommend getting a PDI, as it's completely free. Even look on ServiceNow University to see if they have some on-demand trainings that are free. I believe, don't hold me to it, I believe they do have some on-demand trainings or paths that are free right now. I work for an elite partner company, so it's all free to me from what I see. That's why I can't necessarily like fact check it, but definitely make sure you look there. Go through a path. If there's like an implementer path, if they have literally all of the applications and modules that you can get certified in, they have it on ServiceNow University. So just take a look and see what's free. Make an account if you don't have one, and then take a look and see what's free. And then, of course, again, get a PDI. That for sure is completely free. And they even have some courses and content on there that you can go through, like building through App Engine. So you can get that like hands-on experience. And then from there, you also want to make sure you join the ServiceNow community, follow any hashtags that you can, and also follow any like or join any LinkedIn groups. And then most importantly, follow some ServiceNow creators. There are so many influential ServiceNow creators out there that I still like look up to this day, because I do not know everything. So make sure you guys follow them. And then for month 2, you want to focus on build. So you don't want to just do labs. You want to build real things like outside of the labs. Of course, the labs help you get, that exposure, that experience, but you want to make sure that you build outside of that as well for your portfolio. So if you can do something as simple like create an incident management workflow or an HR onboarding workflow or things of that nature to help build your portfolio. And then, if possible, attend a local user group or virtual meetup like this one. Null Stack Alpha. This is perfect place to, network and connect with other people that are in the ecosystem, and even other people that are doing what it is that you are aspiring to do. Um, and then from there, you'll want to start posting what you learn. Always, always post what you learn. That will also be a part of your portfolio as well. And then lastly, you want to connect. Like I stated, reach out to, anybody that you can, that anyone's in the ecosystem, you see that they are doing what it is that you want to do, or maybe they aren't doing the role that you want to do, but you still want to reach out to them anyway. It's a really cool network to be a part of. I honestly don't know if I would have gotten this far without building, my network and those connections. Okay. And then just some quick insider tips. You want to make sure you learn how to speak business. This comes in handy when you're doing your interviews, projects. The people who really win are the ones who can say, for example, this workflow will save your team 15 hours a week, instead of just I configured a workflow through designer, workflow designer. And then for tip number 2, again, your PDI is your portfolio. You want to make sure you start building in there so that you can, use it for examples when you go into your interviews, and even when you're doing speaking engagements. And then, of course, partner firms are the fast lane. So partner firms are always hiring, especially entry level. ServiceNow even has their own website where you can go and look at every single partner that they are partners with. This is a great, great way to get your foot in the door. I highly recommend it. I have worked for 2 partner firms now. So it definitely, the results are there, definitely speaks for itself. I definitely would consider that as a fast lane. And then, if possible, if you can niche down early, definitely do. Again, my main focus was ITSM when I first started, because that is what was taught during the Rise Up program. But maybe you want to focus on HRSD or GRC or SecOps. Just kind of figure out what interests, what sparks your interest, what intrigues you, and then go from there. Okay, and then lastly, these are just some mistakes that I have seen. People are just collecting certifications, but they don't have any hands-on experience. So again, that's where your PDI or boot camp that's free, like Rise Up, will come in handy. And then mistake number two, don't only search for ServiceNow and job titles. You want to do it's multiple things that you can multiple ways that you can name roles. So there's like ITSM analyst, platform analyst, process consultant, process analyst. You want to make sure you broaden your search when you're looking. And then mistake number three is waiting until you feel ready. I did not wait until I felt ready. Like I stated before, we even completed program a month before, I was already applied to jobs because the best learning happens on the job. And then lastly, being a lurker in the community. I struggle with this myself, so I can speak to it. But this year I said I'm going to start showing up a little bit more, even for myself. So you want to make sure you're commenting, you're sharing, and you're showing up to those user groups that you have, joined. You want to just make sure that you are fully visible in the ecosystem. And that is it. That's the last slide, guys. So feel free to connect with me. Here's my email. If you can take a screenshot of this, it's my email. It's also my Substack, and then my LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me for any questions, tips, or help. I'm not an expert, definitely not a resume expert. However, I do not mind helping if you guys have any questions, rather it's wanting to transition to into a business analyst or BPC role, or if it's just something in general about the ServiceNow ecosystem and your transition. I am open for any and all questions. And are there any questions? I know we have another session to go to.
We have a few questions. Paul said, "How would you describe what a analyst, I'm guessing means business analyst, does?"
Ooh, okay. So, in the gist, pretty much what a business analyst does is our main goal is to work with the customer. You'll be the bridge or the liaison between the customer and the technical teams. Sometimes the technical teams can get real techie in their talk, and you have to be able to translate that to the customer in business terms. So you could maybe lead work stakeholder workshops, or if you're not leading, you'll kind of just get an idea of where the customer currently is in their process, if they have one, if what system they're using, and then you're going to gather those requirements. Once you gather those requirements, you're going to turn them into user stories that you write yourself. And those user stories need to be written to uh, a particular way in order for the developer to develop. So you don't necessarily need to tell them how to do their job, but you just need to make sure the why is there. The what and the why is there. They will do the how. And then from there, honestly, it could go either way. Again, every company is different. But for me, usually after the user stories have been built out, we start the UAT phase. And I am usually the one who coordinates that. So that's simply just sending out the emails to the testers that have been identified to the teams. They're going to go through the testing to make sure that everything looks correct, particularly the acceptance criteria that we wrote. So they're going to come back and say, hey, this passed, or hey, it failed. And if it failed, then you have to go through some troubleshooting. From there, once all of the user acceptance testing is done, there has been instances where I have done both. I've helped out with the communication team with creating user guides, FAQs, quick reference guides, but I haven't done that for every project. And then after that is done, that is when some training comes in, and I pretty much just sit in the background, answer any questions that's in the chat, or provide the users to the correct person. And then after that is pretty much deployment. So we're all done. But my main goal would definitely be, my focus would be on requirements gathering and user stories. I just happen to do a little bit of everything. Okay. Were there any more questions, Terrence? I have like a double screen, so I can't really see it all.
Yes. Raymond asks, when making these flows with your PDI, do you just make a random flow or is there some type of guidance on what you need to do, i.e., the info to generate one?
So if I'm not mistaken, there are, I mean, if you want to do a random flow, you can let your creativity spark. But if you are not necessarily following, let's say, for example, like a lab on how to create a particular workflow, then I suggest either going to like the ServiceNow University. No, not ServiceNow University. They called it something different. I think it used to be Now Create, but it might be something else. There's some documents on there that I have seen, not a ton, that you can use, but I highly recommend utilizing on the developer instance website. They have some content in there that teaches you how to build particular workflows or particular things within certain applications. So I would utilize that if you're not utilizing an actual like lab per se. There might be some on ServiceNow product documentation pages as well, but I'm not fully for sure. I know that is kind of more so like for updates, on all of the applications and modules. So, but I would highly, highly utilize the actual ServiceNow uh, personal developer website to get that content from there.
Thank you. And it looks like Jeff Jesse dropped a link for Now Create Start Stories. So there may be something everybody can look at.
Yes, definitely use Now Create, because I still use that to this day. That was another thing that I didn't even know existed when I started my journey. And now that it's out, now once I realized that it does exist, I was like, this is absolutely great. And they did like an upgrade recently, so it look wise looks even cooler. But there are starter stories on there that I use in my current role. There's also presentations on there that you guys would use uh, as a BPC if you're leading a workshop with a customer. You can use those presentations, and of course, you can put it up. You can tweak it to make it more of like your company or what it is that you're actually implementing. And then there's like process maps on there as well that you can also use. So it's definitely, I highly recommend that as well.
Well, thank you once again. I know that you mentioned New Rocket. They say OG New Rocket. You're like next gen OG. So
Yeah, I'm old technically compared to everybody else that's coming up right now. But
nah, great presentation, great demo.
yes, thank you guys. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I wanted to, my plan was to stay throughout the rest of the session, but I double booked. So, but I'm so excited, you guys. Thank you so much for having me and even listening to my session. I appreciate it. Make sure you guys connect with me so we can continue talking. You're welcome. Bye, guys.